because take the same kind of idea of a comic book and apply it to some of the biggest, like, in my aspect, I'll say, like, fantasy genre books out there. So, like, take a Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Harry Potter, and obviously they have Star Wars comics, but so maybe take Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. How many comics would it take to do those 7 books? Or how many comics would it take to do 4 books of Lord of the Rings? I'm including The Hobbit because I love The Hobbit. And so, don't even get me started with Silmarillion. That was fucked. Just throw that one out. If you can read those, man, you guys have like an IQ of like 160. I've tried like 3 times.
You're an elf.
Yeah. No, fuck the elves. We're Team Dwarves around here. Fuck the elves, okay? Fuck those fucks. And so, you know, you have to think how much of a story can you really include in 10 to 15 pages with artwork and stuff. And, you know, I don't know, with Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, you'd probably go, if you're going 1 issue a week, how many years is that going to last you before you start going, okay, well, we're starting pulling stuff out of our ass right now. Yeah. I mean, it's like J.K. Rowling on Twitter just fucking tweets whatever the hell she wants nowadays, and she's, I don't know.
You're a billionaire, you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I don't know, it would be hard to do that, and I think you do need to have to hit a reset, or just know when to stop.
Well, that's a great example. Think of just about Star Wars. Star Wars started in the late 70s.
Yeah, and should have stopped after the prequels, because the sequels...
Yes.
We'll get into those.
I agree. But look at Star Wars just from when it came out. I mean, we're talking about 40 to 50 years of history between movies and publications. They've got a bunch of novels, which kind of have their own canon. They've got a bunch of comics that have their own canon. They've got some offshoot 80s TV shows. They've got the movies.
Yeah. And don't forget, what is it called? Endor, the Ewok?
The Ewoks. That's now on Disney Plus.
Is it really? Oh,
no shit.
Okay.
No shit.
Please check it out, people, because it's like the most forgotten about Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but you'll love it.
So, look at how convoluted just the Star Wars has gotten from having this whole universe just in 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, then double that time period, and you can see how convoluted comic books can get.
Yeah.
So really, the right answer is any time is a good time for a reset, and there's never a good time for a reset.
Yeah.
As far as money, resets have always made money.
Yeah.
People always like that fresh start.
Because it's a new story.
And yeah, it's a new take.
Yeah.
But from respect, I think that people generally don't respect resets as much as just trying to stick it out.
Yeah.
But I bet you will see Marvel do one at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next 10 years, they'll have one.
Yeah. Well, and they're kind of doing it right now with their live actions, their movies. They're keeping some of the smaller characters and trying to bring them into bigger roles. But the one thing about the Marvel versus DC thing, I've always enjoyed the DC comics and DC like TV shows more than Marvel versions of on TV or comics. But the Marvel movies have been fantastic.
Yeah, that's kind of that. There's sort of a change in the mid 2000s, obviously with Iron Man coming out, where the Marvel movies became the movies, and the DC properties, other than the movies, kind of became the breadwinner in the other categories.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny because I can look at the many different versions of Batman movies or Superman movies, and because they come out with them so often, there's always a new actor every couple of years. And you can look, though, in the early 2000s, when Robert Downey Jr. took the Iron Man role, you're like, he was born for that role. It's like fucking looking at Johnny Depp doing Jack Sparrow, you're like, wow, no one could have played that role like him. Superman, you can look at some of the Superman actors and be like, it could be better, there could be worse ones. And same with like the Batman roles. I think that's a big issue with them is Marvel is able to cast the characters so well and then keep them for 20 years. Where the DC movies, every 5 years you're going to have a new Batman series. And there are some fans who in the 80s are like, no, I loved, who was the Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
That's really more, in the 89, 90s, 92,
Yeah, I mean, you and I are George Clooney, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I love Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And those are great Batmans. And so it's just kind of funny to see that side of things as well. That might have a small role in as to why that is.
Well, you gotta put, and this is once again nothing to do with Superman's Secret Origins.
Yeah,
but
I feel really bad.
You gotta think
way off.
No, it's alright.
The boat.
Whatever. You gotta think though, the whole universe thing was never really a thing until recently.
Yeah.
So like when DC was doing Batman, You know, the only reason that Michael Keaton left was because Tim Burton left. And Michael Keaton him and Tim Burton had done Beetlejuice. They'd done a lot of cool stuff together.
Yeah.
So there was an acting issue there. So they brought in Val Kilmer. Well, then that movie, you know, it actually did pretty well in the box office, but a lot of people hated it. So then they brought in George Clooney and this whole shit show. Yeah. Anyways, you know, there wasn't really a universe. You could make different movies with different heroes. And if you're talking about Superman, other than Batman Superman, which is really kind of a Justice League type origin movie, you've really got Man of Steel in like 2013 or whatever that was. Superman Returns in 2006, and before that, I think you've got maybe a mid-'80s Superman 4. So really, Superman has only had 2 movies, or 3 movies with 3 actors in 30 years, 40 years. Yeah. It's Batman that sells better in cinematic, I think, and so that's where you see, you know, you've got the 3 Batman actors in the 90s, and then you've got the Dark Knight, which they kind of held, but that was never a universe. That was like a grounded story of Batman. Yeah. So DC just tells their stories differently. Yeah. And where they've faltered is trying to be Marvel. Yeah. They've failed at that. Yes. And so I think now we're starting to see them just start to do whatever the fuck they want again. Because that's where they all of a sudden would hit gold with good stories. Because
the original Wonder Woman that came out with Gal Gadot, the first one, we can about 85 and another one, but that Wonder Woman was fantastic. I was like, this is by far the best DC movie that has been produced in I don't know how long. Well, I loved it.
When DC Warner Brothers goes balls out with movies like Joker, with like really ballsy movies that Marvel would never try, they win awards. They are critically acclaimed. They're super well done. You know, DC is more of an artsy. DC Warner Brothers are more of an artsy go for it and fail, or go for it and win big. Yeah. Whereas Marvel, once they kind of found success with Disney, they've just replicate. And
it's the same formula.
Yeah. But it works. And I think people like it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, you can even look at Avengers. They, you know, the last one, Infinity War and Endgame, they basically took the same equation they've had for every Avengers movie before that, or Marvel movie, and just made it into 2. They just prolonged it. Sure. Instead of ending the movie with the ultimate climax and resolution, they did it with the lowest point for every single character. The biggest... The highest rising action that ends up with the lowest point for all the characters, which when you are writing a story, one of the best points in any story for any character is when they hit their fucking lowest of low, rock bottom. Right. And that's how that one ends. And so you should really look at the Avengers as it's one movie just put into 2 parts.
Well, I mean you were just saying that's a really good story trope. I mean, same thing happened in Empire Strikes Back, right? Yeah. You know, the rebels lose Hoth. Luke's got his hand cut off. Yeah. The revelation, the Dark Vader.
Dark Vader
is Luke's. I mean, they're at rock bottom, right? And that's kind of what makes the 6th movie so powerful, too, right? Yeah. I might cut this out and put this in a rant.
Yeah.